Hello everyone and welcome to an exciting new map post. This one, obviously, we are talking about India, and I thought I'd bring you in on this screen because while this is nice, the mountains make it really hard to see things. So we're opening here and looking at this glorious Tibet. Look at this. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure about you. Maybe the colours could be a little bit different, but speaking about colours and being different, they have actually made quite a few changes to the map, which have, maybe there's a little bit of controversy about it, or I wouldn't say controversy, but a little bit of a disagreement on what should be done here, because, while I think it looks better, maybe the information is a little bit harder to parse with it. Not in this map specifically, but we'll go and have a look at the actual maps, and I'll let you guys know what it is I am talking about. So, welcome once again to another Tinto Maps. Today we'll take a look at India, a whole subcontinent, and they're gonna say why they're only doing, the entirety of India in one go, because that's like a subcontinent. That's like saying, oh, we're gonna do France, Germany, and Spain, and Italy all in, one single map post. I mean, that would seem kind of silly. But here it makes a little bit more sense. It is as diverse as those European regions I mentioned. But, yeah, I mean, Sultanate of Delhi owns so much. They reach from, basically Pakistan to Bengal, right? They reach down to, is this what, like, Goa, right? I think that province right there is Goa. They are colossal. You really couldn't split up this map without splitting up the Sultanate of Delhi. So I think they've made the right decision here, because these guys are the main character, let's say, of the Indian subcontinent, and splitting their country up into multiple map posts, I think, is a little bit silly. So I do think this is a better situation. But anyway, some of you wonder why we decided to make the Indian subcontinent in just one dev diary instead of spreading it a bit. There are two reasons for that. The first is the political situation. The Sultanate of Delhi is at its zenith under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. You'll see that it rules over more than half the region, approximately, so splitting that polity into several dev diaries would have felt weird. The other one is that we felt a more cohesive approach made sense in this region, as it's so diverse compared to others that the way we approached it, both for its setup and content, was from the generic to the particular. Therefore, we think that it would help us more when we tackle the review of the region. Speaking of that, don't worry too much about the time available to prepare suggestions. They have a backlog of several regions, and therefore weeks before they hit the Indian review, so there's plenty of time to research and prepare for it. In any case, as it's a massive task, we'll let you know a bit in advance when you plan to start the in-depth review of it, so they have time to wrap it up. Also, this was aided by Trintragula, who is now the design lead in CK3. Apparently, I don't know, maybe Trintragula went on a holiday to Spain for a while and decided to work on this together, which is kind of awesome. So, countries, as you can see, it's the orientation makes it actually quite difficult to show it, because it's very tall. But I don't know how many of you know this, but I absolutely, in EU4, have a favorite country to play in India. And by favorite country, I mean second place doesn't come remotely close to it. And I am delighted that they are on the map. They do start as a vassal of the Sultanate of Delhi, but Mewar is here. I will be playing Mewar. I will be trying to break free from the Sultanate of Delhi as Mewar and trying to form my lovely Rajputana. That sounds like an absolute delightful little campaign to me. But also some other fan favorites are around. Obviously, Vijayanagar is here in its resplendent glory. They actually point out that Vijayanagar is like one of the main contenders against Sultanate of Delhi. But looking at it, the sizes, there's going to have to be something going on with Delhi, which there is, to make that happen. Orissa also here. which is quite nice. But yeah, let us move on. And yes, we've got the colored in wastelands, which I think is just awesome looking. But let's have a look here. As I just mentioned, the Sultanate of Delhi is at its zenith under Muhammad bin Tughlaq, extending through the Indo-Gangetic Plain. That is a new word to me. Makes sense, but it is new. Including Bengal and to the south through the Deccan. There we have its toughest contender, Vijayanagar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but then again, as you can tell, I'm very white, so that it's not, you know, it's understandable, let's say, if I get some nation names incorrect. I did have an Indian person tell me that this is how you pronounce it. If that is incorrect and I was being trolled, I apologize, but I am trying. Anyway, it's a country that is a bulwark of Hinduism. But yes, the toughest contender is Vijayanagar, and they are so incredibly small in comparison. We'll find out the populations in just a moment. Other important countries around it are Orissa and Sindh, but much smaller countries generally surround Delhi. You might wonder how it would be possible to stop Delhi from completely controlling the region then. For this, two things are affecting its capability to achieve it. The first is the base game mechanics. Running over so many different cultures and religions with low control will be hard, so the Mamluk problem. The second is a situation that involves the fall of the Sultanate. If Delhi wants to succeed, it will have to fight back against rebellions, which involves the potential independence of the Bengalese countries, or newborn ones such as the Bahmanis, and multiple Indian states around it, which are ready to take over it. Speaking of the Bahmanis, here we have a comment asking if Bahmanis is unplayable at the start day, or it's possible to start out as them before they actually pop out of Delhi. They are unplayable at the start, but you can decide to play as them with with an event starting as Delhi. So whether this happens at the very start of the game, or if it happens as the game progresses a few years in with the fall of the Delhi Sultanate situation, then that country will be playable in some capacity. On to dynasties. Obviously, we have the Tughlaq dynasty, which is spread all throughout the Delhi of Sultanate, obviously. But then we have all of these other ones. I don't know how many of these are set in stone, or if they are, dynamically created. I am not sure. I do not know. And no comments are being made about it. But we've got the Sangama, we've got Chanda. I'm pretty sure Chanda is a real one. I vaguely remember that being a thing. My beautiful Mewar has Chuhun. It's hard to read that one, I'm afraid. And this is what I'm talking about, right? They have changed the map in a slight way. Not here so much. You can see it more in the next post. That makes it a little bit harder to read. So let's move on to locations, where you can really tell the difference. Locations map. It actually doesn't get very much bigger when I zoom in. Let's open it in a new tab, and we can maybe zoom in a bit more, because while it's not exactly the most high def map, again, it's purely because to get all of India in one map, you actually have to zoom out quite a bit. So then when I'm trying to zoom back in, it's a little bit low def. But it is making it quite difficult to read the location names. Because, one, they have a new map style, which I think looks better. I do think it looks better. But it is also a little bit more difficult to read. I especially like the way that the mountains look. I think that the wastelands look insanely improved, right? Instead of it just being black, it's now got some color and definition and, this watercolor stain thing. The oceans, similarly, look way, way better, but it's kind of hard to read the rest of it, and people have been pointing it out and noticing it. As Mattifer points out here, I don't know how to feel about the new map styles. Is it me, or do they look more difficult to read? Then asking if they can paste it with the old styles just to compare. But that's not really possible. It's not just a flip a switch, go back to the old one. But yeah, it's better if they give direct feedback, like Sulfurologist said here. The granular map modes, like locations, raw materials, and topography, should have a flat color scheme and not have borders. They're detrimental for extracting information at a glance. How am I supposed to get anything from the development map mode, which is in this, and we'll get to it. Also, for the development map mode, please shy away from the green, yellow, orange color scheme. Colorblind people can't use those, and that is the kind of feedback that is quite valuable. So, going back to these maps, again, we have some more detailed location maps, which will be, a little bit more useful. We can see a little bit more of the Indo-Gangetic plain, right? That's what this is. And again, I think the wastelands just look so much better. Like, whatever review you end up doing to this, keep this. This slaps. I like this. Obviously, this is not the terrain map mode, right? When we eventually get the terrain map mode, these will be mountains that have 3D topography that we will be able to see. This is purely the flat map. So don't worry that you can't see mountains. They will be coming. But I think this, like I say, it does look good, but it's ever so slightly more difficult to read. But, you can see it better when you zoom in, obviously. And I've not taken a picture from 1,000 miles away. And then here as well. Like I said, I do think it looks better, but it is slightly more difficult to read with the smaller provinces and the borders around it. And it's like, that is one of the things that they're wanting feedback on, right? They've changed something. Do you like it more? Do you like it less? If, you have opinions, go to the forums and let the people know. This is a map that I think is exceptionally interesting. For one, we've got the island of Ceylon. And I believe the remnants of the land bridge is broken, but it's slightly visible. I'm not sure when that land bridge was deleted. That land bridge is apparently called Adams Bridge. I don't think this is a name that was given to it by people of the area. Just going to point that out. But apparently that link was broken in 1480. Yes, I went and looked it up because I was interested. But it looks like it should be still a thing that will be broken during the game's time period. In fact, it should have been a thing in EU4 as well, and it wasn't. So that's probably going to be a straight crossing. But yeah, I do think it actually works better as a straight crossing, even if the land bridge is there, purely because that strip of land was so incredibly thin that a ship would have been able to prevent crossings anyway. So I do think that would be a better situation anyway. Though with it being, the border between three, I guess, sea zones, which sea zone do you put that straight in? That is the question. I do not know. But anyway, that's one thing I found interesting on this map. The other one is the Maldives. The Maldives are multiple locations. We have Ari Atoll. We have Malay Atoll. We've got... Yeah, like I said, some of these are hard to read. Even when zoomed in, this is very, very difficult to read. I'm sure somebody can... these are probably modern names as well, I imagine. So these will be, you'll be able to see. But I don't know how many locations this is, but it is an entire province. So that's very curious. Also, if we go back a moment to the country map, the Maldives exist only upon one of the more northern islands. So very, very interesting situation going on there indeed. But moving on, we have, of course, the provinces map mode, and they're making adjustments to the coloring of the map, as I've previously said. Provinces map mode. The Maldives are its own province, which is cool. And then looking at the provinces map mode, again, you kind of need to zoom in, so we'll do that. This looks really good. I'm not going to lie. This looks really, really good. I do think that I'm going to be playing with the terrain map mode the vast majority of the time, because this has kind of the same problem that Victoria 3 has. And specifically, I'm talking about Victoria 3 with the Anbana mod. Anbana, if you don't know, has a massive, colossal, gigantic mountain chain splitting, the main continent in half. And on a flat paper map like, Victoria 3 is, if you zoom out, you can't really tell that this feature exists. And now I'm looking at this map, you can't tell that, the Himalayan mountains exist. Which, yeah, flat map has that problem. Because it's flat. Closing the name on that one, I guess. And I do think I'm going to be using the terrain map mode more purely for that reason. I want to see my big hills. I want to see my mountains. That's just the way things go. But having a look down in the south in Deccan, looking very nice and sweet there as well. And then if we go even further south, seeing, of course, back to the Maldives, multiple provinces in Ceylon as well. Is it Ceylon or Sri Lanka at this period? I actually don't know when that changed either. But yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provinces in Ceylon itself. And you may be wondering, whoa, you done all of these maps. You did the the splitting up and looking at different areas individually, but it's kind of actually difficult to see Bengal. They kind of split Bengal up there as well. Have no fear, because somebody else also pointed that out. Multiple people pointed. Oh no, it's the same person. People pointed that out, and we have Bengal once again. Another really popular region to play in. Bengal was a very, very popular tag, and I imagine it will be the case here as well. But yeah, that is the locations, and you can kind of tell the vague shape of the provinces here as well. We'll get onto the RGOs in just a moment as well. So, moving on, this is, of course, back to the areas map, which is, Rajputana, we've got Malwa, Gondwana. This one here is hard to read because of the bug, which is having the Deccan Sea above it, but that is called Malabar. Bengal there, Orissa. Looking good again. And then onto the terrain map mode, which I think... This is the map that has gotten the biggest benefit, I think, from their map graphics update that they've done for this post. Or obviously, it's harder to read with locations and probably with RGOs as well. But here, this looks really good. The sea looks freaking fantastic. Tropical looks fantastic. Subtropical, why can I not say those words? Looks fantastic. Arid... Arid looks terrible, but I mean, it's arid, so it kind of makes sense. But I think this looks really, really good. I think it looks fantastic. But yes, this is the what we're going to be suffering from, and the arid in the Sindh, Kutch kind of area, then arid down in the south as well. This is something I had no idea about. And then we've got some more subtropical down in the very south as well. But yeah, this looks really good. I love what this looks like. Moving on to topography, we have a bunch of hills, bunch of flatland, the mountains of Himalayas just absolutely dominating the north. But then, yeah, tons of flatland in the Gangetic Plain, some wetlands around the Ganges Delta, as expected. No wetlands on the Indus Indus Delta though. It does the Indus River exit in a delta, or is it just a single outlet? I actually have no idea. But either way, looking at the oceans as well, we've got coastal, we've got regular, and we also have deep ocean, as well as some impassables. So ships can't go here. Ships just straight up cannot go here. And again, we have a bit of a bug here where words are over the top of other words. Ocean and coastal ocean, and it's spreading all the way up here. That's going to be fixed. I don't think we need to really worry about that. That will be fixed. We also have some narrows and inland seas here as well. And then finally, we have the vegetation. We have a ton of jungle there in the center. jungle all along the coast here as well. But the majority is woods, grasslands, and tons of farmlands. Farmlands down here as well. If anyone has ever played Imperative Rome in India, this area down here was the largest source of farmlands in the entire game, other than maybe the Mesopotamia. But yeah, farmlands all over the place. Grasslands in Bengal itself. But yeah, that looks really, really good. And of course, we've got the hashed lines for the wastelands that you can't build or own or whatever. Here you have a new type of topography, atolls. Right, of course, for the Maldives. We added it some months ago when we finished working on the map of the Pacific Ocean. It'll be the last one added to the game. You say that now, but that could always change. Then on to development. Development here is basically what we learned about on Friday. It is not just your, dev clicks from EU4. It is a product of how developed the nation is. But of course, this entire northern region here with Delhi looking way, way more developed than the rest of India, which, makes sense. This, was all flatland and grassland and plains and, farms and stuff. So that makes sense. But looking pretty good there. Yeah. Here you have the development of India. The most developed place is Delhi, which is part of the fertile Gangetic Plain. On to harbours. One of the things that I mentioned when talking about harbours, I wrote it in the dev diary itself, was I was wondering if the harbour of Trincomalee was going to be at the highest level, and that is one of the, I think it was 32, 38, something like that, harbours in the game that have the absolute highest possible value. But obviously we've got Manora here, we've got Goa, we've got, I think that's like Calicut, maybe. I might be wrong on that. But of course here we have Trincomalee. I don't know what it's called in EU5. It doesn't look like it's called Trincomalee. It's called something. But this is the modern day port of Trincomalee, which is, a fantastic, insanely suitable natural harbour, and it's really good to see that represented. Love that. Moving on to cultures. Here we have just an absolute wealth of culture. So many different ones. I think, if I'm not wrong in saying, isn't it after Indonesia, India has the largest amount of recognized individual cultures and languages? I feel like I've read that somewhere before. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm just spreading the shit that I think I know. Anyway, culture here looks crazy. There is a lot of minorities basically everywhere, which is part of the reason why Delhi is going to be so difficult to play, or why they will have challenges. If you can accept and have the people of these areas accept that you accept them, then you're going to have a much better time. But yeah, that is looking really cool. Tamil down here is a culture that we'll all know well enough. But yes, that's looking really, really cool. More detailed cultural maps again. Moving through these. I think it looks really, really good. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of having these, like, this is what I expected basically everywhere, right? The Kannadiga culture and the Maratha culture, they have a very definite border, right? But the Marathas are spreading into the Kamaradigas, and the Kamaradigas are spreading into the Marathas. Kannadiga, sorry. This kind of border is what I would expect for pretty much every cultural border that isn't, separated by mountains or some river or some such. This is, yeah, I think that looks great. Not an entirely new map, but a glorious one. We chose it to be the one to represent how the different cultures could represent in the game for a reason. Yes, lovely. Religions, meanwhile. India in 1337, unlike in 1444, is not dominated by Islam. There is still a vast majority of Hinduism here. Of course, I think the Delhi Sultanate is Muslim, but they are not. They're ruling over, you know, they are Islamic ruling over Hindus is essentially what I'm trying to say. But that looks great. We also have the Mahayana religion here. Some animists take that as work in progress, as per usual. Mahayana, obviously, up in Tibet as well. Yeah. More detailed religious map modes we'll go through as well. There's in the north. South, we've got a little bit of Sunni down here. And also, I think that is also Mahayana there as well. Animist there on the island of Ceylon. India is the birthplace of numerous religions, and that needs to be reflected in the religious map. The main religion is Hinduism, but don't be deceived by its homogeneous look, as it will be quite deep feature-wise. We also have Buddhism, which is at a low point after some centuries of prosecutions. Mahayana is a majority in Sindh, although it's not completely exact, as an earlier form of Buddhism was practiced there. We're not also 100% convinced about it being majority, as some sources and accounts set the Islamization of the region to complete it under the Ghaznavids in the 11th and 12th century, while others delay it until the 14th century. We followed the later approach, but we're open to feedback in this specific matter. Another form of Buddhism is Theravada, which is the most practiced religion in Ceylon. Some interesting minorities present in the region are the Jains, which are the yellow stripes, the Nestorians are the pink stripes in Malabar. Okay, that's what that is. That's not Mahayana at all. Which portrays the St. Thomas Christians, Jews which have their own separate culture, Kachini, and several animist confessions, of which were already split. Satsanafi, the traditional religion of the Thai people, not Thai with Thai, this is different, and Sanamahism, the religion of the Métis people. Although it's not strictly part of the religion, the light blue stripes to the north is the Burn religion, which is this. That's really cool. One thing before we go further on into religion, and by further on I mean stop talking about religion, I want to talk about a little bit of a bit of controversy. Maybe a bit of controversy that was being spoken about in the comment section of this forum post. There was a couple of people who were very much unhappy that Assamese was here in northern Bengal. Assam, as you will know from EU4, was more in the mountains over here, basically where the Ahom, the Tani, etc. people are up here. And there was a little bit of controversy about that. So here, perhaps it's Chondolal saying here, start with the basic stuff. Why is Assamese in northern Bengal? Suppose you're trying to represent the Koch Rajbongshis. So they named them Rajbongshis. Never that they're being called Assamese, the fact that it hasn't been changed doesn't really bode well. So Pavi saying here, the Assamese moved from North Bengal to current Assam during the period, that's why. And the response here is, and we're saying they did not. The Assamese did not migrate. They were formed by the confluence of the Ahoms, Bodos, and other tribes of the Brahmaputra Valley, which source says the Assamese migrated from North Bengal. And Pavi is, it's responding quite nicely. It's a complex topic. We partially agree with you, as the modern Assamese culture was formed as a hybridization of some cultures. However, what we're representing with the Assamese culture that is present in our game is the Indo-Aryan core that formed the early Assamese language and culture, which would later expand towards current Assam, merging with the Hom and other cultures in the process. Open for review, as, that's just the case. As long as you are responding in a, reasoned and friendly manner, then, feedback is always welcome. And then, a couple of people here, that's fine. If you consider all the resources that have been sent, there's more comments that I'm not reading. Assamese should be as a culture should be represented. It's just extremely inaccurate to do it in northern Bengal. The Indo-Aryan stock population already existed within the borders of Assam and Kamrup region, and it's more tribal people assimilated into this population. The best representation of Assamese would be Assam, as an overlapping culture with the various tribal peoples, and not in northern Bengal. So basically the core point they're both pressing, and then, again, an apology for being a little bit too aggressive, but there is a fundamental misconception. Early Assamese language and culture arose in Assam itself. This was, if this was CK3, there'd be some leeway, but by 1337, early Assamese was well established in the Brahmaputra Valley. Only the Ahoms were yet to arrive. Besides that, all the ingredients, one could say, were in place, and the cultures of northern Bengal had certainly little in common with either early or modern Assamese culture. So Pavi responding here. Thank you for the input on the matter. There's two different things to review here, I think. First will be if we could potentially rename what we named as Assamese into something different to portray that Indo-Aryan stock. Maybe something along the lines of Kamarupa, although we're not sure if this would be correct. The other would be potentially moving it eastwards towards the Brahmaputra Valley. Let us know what you think would work better. I love this back and forth, right? The guy was a little bit aggressive in how he was, rah, this is wrong kind of way, but finding that resolution at the end is I think a good thing, and I really love the way that the developers are responding to feedback and criticism, and if they are found to be wrong, they will make changes. And I think that is something that I wanted to bring up as another example of this game is a process. These Tinto talks, I mean, the fact that we're calling them Tinto talks and not EU5 developer diaries kind of goes a long way into showing that, this is a work in progress. Things may be wrong, and that's why these map posts exist. It is not worth getting angry over map posts that, maybe misrepresent or aren't fully representative of something. Give some reasoned feedback, and things will change, and the game will be better for it if you are right. So I just wanted to bring that up again, just as another example of that, and I think it is worth repeating basically every time that I can. Game's a process, and the developers are geniuses and amazing and shit. Give me the game. I mean, yeah, no, they're great. Yeah, I love this feedback system that they've got going on. Fantastic. On to raw materials. This is feedback on the map. This is harder to read. This is very much harder to read, in my opinion. Obviously, we've got more detailed maps that we can have a look at, and we will. But just at a top-level glance, the amount of iron that I'm seeing is very, very nice. I'm seeing a lot of iron. I'm seeing a lot of cotton. I am seeing quite a lot of silk in the north and in the south, actually. I think this here is medicaments, so we're happy there. Yes, it is. But yeah, I think it is better if we have a look at some of the more detailed maps where we can zoom in a bit more and have a look around. But yeah, the amount of iron I am seeing in India is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I love that. Let's have a look here in the south as well. Gems as well, absolutely makes sense. The Golconda Mine, I think, is what one of these is called, where there is just a ton of gems. Lots of sugar as well. Sugar is something that India is making a ton of, and in the game, they are the largest, or this continent is the largest producer of sugar at the start of the game, which is really, really cool to see. We've got some medicaments there, lovely stuff. And elephants, which is new. This is not like ivory. These elephants are used for military units, though you can also get ivory from them with some buildings, I am led to believe. But yeah, I think that looks really, really good. And then in the exact far south, oh, you can see all of the atolls here for the Maldives. That is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, potentially 15 locations in the Maldives. Oh, what the hell? What the hell? That is crazy stuff. But yeah, lots of spices as well, which makes sense. India was for some time in the period the wealthiest region of the world. One of the main reasons for it being that is that it's incredibly rich in different types of resources, including some of the expensive ones. That'll make for a very interesting economic gameplay. And obviously, let's now also have a look at the Bengal area because it wasn't zoomed in enough. And yeah, that's also looking really cool. Got horses there, lots of lumber around the place. Makes sense. Lots of dyes, fruit, silks, rice as well. Yeah, looks like an incredibly rich region resource-wise, which makes, entire amounts of sense. No one did not expect that. Moving on to the markets, we have Delhi, Kamabat, Varanasi, Chittagong, Pulicat, and Calicut, which makes, I say it makes sense, but This is where I would have expected it. Maybe Chittagong, maybe I would have maybe expected a little bit more in Bengal. But Calicut and Kamabat absolutely make sense to me, especially, and Delhi as well. Absolutely. Let's have our market centers in India that we think portray, well, the situation in 1337. Kabul in Afghanistan. I didn't even notice that one. Yes. But it's one for the area of Kashmir. Delhi, Kamabat, Calicut, Pulicat, Varanasi, and Chittagong. On to population, and there is a new map here, which I think is absolutely cool as hell. But here we have population, and 41 million for Delhi. Going south of Vijayanagar is 2.4 million. I forget what this nation was, but there are 3.1 million. The population of this region is just on another level. If you manage to unite India, holy hell, you will be very populous. Very populous indeed. There's some more detailed population maps as well. So you can see a little bit more of the populations up in the north and in the south. And we also have a new map. This one, I think, is very, very cool. We're just showing off the... I say we. It's not me. I'm not involved in the game at all. But a new map that is being shown is this. When you click on a nation, and in this case it is the Delhi Sultanate, we can have, the highest population, which I think is right here. I think this is Delhi. I'm pretty sure this one isn't Delhi. I think this one is Delhi. But either way, you can see the there's a word for it. The heat map of population, and the striped lines means it is overpopulated. So yeah, you're gonna have to build some houses in India if you are going to be playing in this region. And then of course individual location populations as well is, oh boy, just such high populations. It is insane. But yeah, going on to here. India has a big population, to be precise, around 95 million pops. Delhi is the second largest country in the world in population with 41 million after Yuan, which makes it a behemoth with very serious governance challenges. Also showing this week the progress we're making with the colouring of the population map mode. The stripes on several locations mark that they're overpopulated as they have more pops living on them than the pop capacity available. Something that may be reviewed as balancing very densely populated regions, such as India or China, is really challenging. Yeah. Yes, this was a massive Tinto map. This is almost 40 minutes long. I hope you have enjoyed it. Next week, we're looking at the steppe. There's a lot of steppes, but this one will be from Ukraine in the west to Mongolia in the east. We're looking at the whole steppe, the whole ass thing. We are gonna get a colossal map out of this. It's gonna be so huge. I just want to bring up this map post again. This is, I forget his name again. It is by Jums77, who's doing a fantastic job of stitching together all of the maps of the world. And this is what we currently have. This is all of the maps currently. And we're going to be getting from Ukraine all the way to Mongolia. We are going to get a colossal map post next week, so I hope you are looking forward to that. And oh my gosh, this image is huge. This image is absolutely huge. We're going to be getting quite a lot of map. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for watching. I have really enjoyed this map post. I hope you have too. India looks like a very fun region to play in. I am, of course, going to be playing as my beloved Mewar, but I can definitely see myself playing many of these countries, including the Sultanate of Delhi. Being able to stabilize that and not, fall to rebellion and actually unify the you're gonna be so powerful. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on Wednesday for another Tinto Talks. Bye-bye.